Y'all, I love a mess as much as the next person, and there is nothing messier than a real housewife of wherever. And even though most of their problems seem super superficial, it's incredibly entertaining. I mean, it's not every day that a housewife is caught on camera evading arrest. You'd think if you're, I don't know, committing fraud, you'd lay low. Maybe not become infamous on Bravo for things like what my guests refer to as the famous Topgolf episode. Let's get into it, besties, because things are about to get shawfully messy.
Now to the federal fraud investigation involving Real Housewives of Salt Lake City cast member Jen Shah.
Jennifer Shah allegedly profited by generating lists of victims to defraud them.
He pled not guilty to both charges.
Jen, the brown girl, and her black husband, how do they get all this money? Oh my gosh, it must be through something illegal.
Jennifer Shah presented herself in court, Janae, as contrite, remorseful, even prepared to make amends for ruining the lives of thousands of elderly victims.
We are on a sinking ship.
From Wondery and At Will Media, this is The Big Flop, where we chronicled the greatest flubs, fails, and blunders of all time. I'm your host, Misha Brown, social media's superstar who loves Shah-mazing trashy reality TV, at your bestie Misha. And on our show today, joining us once again, we have the hosts of Watch What Crappens. It's Ben Mandelker and Ronnie Karam. Welcome to the show, besties.
Hi. Well, hello, Misha. How are you?
I'm good. Are we officially in a throuple?
We are. It's our third throuple, too. It's power of threes.
It is.
Well, this is the most in a row dates I've been on in a long time. So.
Okay, so before we get into Jen Shah, I have to ask, how familiar are you with the Real Housewives universe and Jen Shah's place in it?
Oh, we live this. We've watched every single episode. We've talked about every single episode for probably 3 times the amount that the episode actually was on. So we love this.
Real Housewives of Salt Lake City has given us 5 wonderful seasons of amazing, iconic moments, both for the gays and the straights. But Jen Shah, I mean, it started with Jen Shah, the first 3 seasons, and she was an emotional journey for sure.
So Jen Shah is born in Hawaii. When she's just 5 years old, her family moves to Utah, where as a Pacific Islander, she's one of the only non-white kids in school. So throughout her childhood, she's subjected to a lot of racism, a lot of ignorance, but she does still manage to become student body president and varsity cheerleader. So she didn't let any of that hold her back. Shah veers away from her family's Mormon lifestyle and picks a secular college, the University of Utah, where she meets her future husband, Sharif Shah, who happens to be Black and Muslim, a rarity in her community.
Well, everything's a rarity in their community, Salt Lake City. But yeah, it is nice too where people found each other. Also, that man is fine.
I was going to say, dream boat. Okay. I mean, not only is he good looking, but he's like a star football player. She was a cheerleader. So, I mean, fate, right? But then at this point in their life, they just have to get their degrees and go live a successful life. Easy peasy. Well, they have a slight setback. It's a little pregnancy whoopsie, and they decide to get married and have the baby while they're still in college. Shah's parents don't take this well at all. Rather than accept Sharif, a non-Mormon, into the family, they disown their own daughter. Which, I mean, sad at first, but the family does eventually come around to his gorgeous smile, and Sharif and Shah are in love. It doesn't hurt that Sharif is expected to go on and have a fantastic football career. So they have everything going for them, really.
Yeah, and that whole family, just deciding to disown the child, they had no problem using some of that money later because she was supporting that whole family. So at this point in the story, still Team Shah. Even though I know how it turns. You know what a sicko I am?
Yeah.
That's how I am. I'll be on her side till the end.
You're just reframing your entire view of Jen Shah. Now you're like, wait a second, her parents were mean to her? I'm totally on her side.
I'm on her side.
Hey, listen, you got to put yourself in her shoes at the moment, all right? People in history weren't always bad until they turned. You got to wait for the turn. That's the fun.
So, yeah, I mean, everything was going well for them, but then Sharif does injure his back, so he has to give up his athletic career. So there's a baby to feed. Compromises must be made. Shah drops out of college to support Sharif while he gets his law degree. And she hustles any way she knows how. She's modeling, doing nanny gigs, secretarial work, like whatever she can do. Eventually, the couple's teamwork pays off and Sharif becomes an attorney. It was a steady gig, but he is a civil litigator, which doesn't exactly pay well. It's not, a Manhattan attorney by any means.
It's not Real Housewives territory. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how excited I'd be to find out my lawyer that I was assigned was like a football player. Only because of the brain stuff, They get slammed down on their heads a lot. Like, pick another profession, That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, it also goes the other way when you like hitch your ride to like a future NFL star and then they wind up just being a civil attorney. You're like, oh, okay.
But, throughout all this, Shah I'm still giving her points because she continues hustling for her man. She's dabbling in finance and marketing until 2006 when she lands a role at a telemarketing coaching business called Prosper Inc. And she climbs the ladder at Prosper Inc., becoming director of business development before moving on to her next venture. So, I mean, are any of those elements, I guess, especially since you know the outcome of this story, are any of those elements surprising to you in her background?
It's kind of interesting. It's like the origin story for how this all went wrong. Because we had actually had one of our listeners had once written to us or had come on to our show and said something to the effect that, like, they knew Jen Shah 20 years ago. She was a customer at their bank and she was always this like meek, very lovely person who was very, very quiet. And, she turns into someone who winds up being on The Real Housewives, as you'll discuss, who's not that at all. So I kind of feel like this must have been the turning point where she saw The Matrix and was like, wait a second, there's a world of scamming available to me.
So by 2011, she's moved on to become co-vice president of another company that sells business coaching programs called Thrive Learning. She works alongside a fella named Stuart Smith. Oh. And the two become very close business partners. Prior to Thrive, Smith worked in the bakery section at a Costco, and he also ran a landscape nursery. So seems like a decent guy who strangely made a huge unexplained career leap.
A gardener who bakes. I'm in. Is he single?
Yeah.
Hey. You should know from the names of these companies. Prosper, bull. Thrive, bullshit.
Also, this whole thing, like, I sell coaching programs. That sounds a lot like all of these, like, I can teach you to become an influencer overnight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just sign up for my program. Anyway, we'll meet Smith again. But for now, back to Shah and her family. Everyone's coming up in the world, including Shah's husband, Sharif, who quits his litigator job in 2012 and gets hired as an assistant college football coach at the University of Utah, making a cool $150K a year. Not too shabby. The happy married couple are living that solid middle-class lifestyle, raising two boys, one of whom ends up going to med school. But then trouble. Not exactly for Shah, but for some of her former employers. In 2015, the Federal Trade Commission goes fishing for fraud within telemarketing coaching companies, and they suspect Thrive Learning is one of a slew of fraudulent organizations that sell fake curriculums and sessions to unsuspecting victims. And maybe even steal financial information.
What is your fake curriculum in telemarketing?
I'm so confused by it all.
Pick up the phone, dial very quickly, ask if you can speak with the lady of the house. Like what kind of lies are they inserting in there?
Now, Thrive, we have to say, doesn't admit to any wrongdoing, but in 2017, they do settle with the FTC for $27 million.
Wow.
That same year, the FTC charges 15 people from other similar companies. Some of them go to prison. And a few of these folks have even worked with Shah and her buddy, Stuart Smith. It's a close call. Shah even gets deposed in one of the cases, and that company settles for $16 million. But big fish like Shah and Smith don't get caught in the FTC's net. So that's because they've left and started their own company called Mastery Pro Group.
Oh, Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, listen, that's exactly where I'm turning to. If I'm going to get some mastery, I'm going to turn to someone who worked in the bakery of Costco and landscaping, and then take classes about how I can improve as a corporate presence.
Mm-hmm.
Well, especially if they just were the only ones who didn't go to prison. I'd be like, well, they're better than the other people. Like, they learned better.
That's true.
I mean, at least that's pretty decent on your resume, actually.
We beat the feds.
Yeah. What do you think a company named Mastery Pro would actually do?
I'm going to say it's about like teaching leadership in your position and like how to like effectively organize your company.
I think it's like always learning where the primary bedroom is in a home.
Well, Ben, you were close, but instead of going after corporations and already established businesses, Master Pro Group purports to sell services to individuals who want to start their own business but don't know how. Spoiler, this is a total scam, and the services are completely fake. So now Shah has just witnessed what can happen to folks who run such scams. So should be a deterrent, but instead Shah thinks she can outsmart the feds by distancing herself from the company that she founds. And she sets up her ventures in, wait for it, Kosovo.
Oh,
Kosovo. Whoa.
Home of mastery.
So she instructs her boy, Stuart Smith, to hide the origin of the company and to incorporate it in Wyoming. So basically offshore, right? Shah's aunt opens up a bank account for her niece to use for the business. She's just doing a nice thing for her niece and has no idea that this is sketchy. Also, she's never charged with any crimes for doing this. Mm-hmm. And eventually, Shah and Smith set up a Master Pro Group headquarters in New York where Shah will preside over a team of salespeople. And she goes all in on this business, spending most of her time in New York City away from her home in Utah. And being a football coach, her husband Sharif is away on business a lot as well. So the two experience some turbulence and resentments start to brew. But in 2018, things are humming along at Mastery Pro until, record scratch, the FTC deposes Shah's business partner, Stuart Smith, as part of another fraud phishing operation.
Wow.
Shah, she's calm, cool, collected. She does not panic. She's been here before. Several of her previous employers have been in the hot seat. So she just texts Smith what he needs to tell the feds to stay out of trouble. Mostly stuff like, hey, we don't work together. Got it?
On text. You've already been chased by the feds. You already escaped that, and now you're texting somebody. Come on, man. This is a shame because I thought she was smarter than this. Like, I'm already losing hope.
Well, look, I can't believe that she was texting Stuart all this information and just getting it out there. At least she wasn't dumb enough to actually showcase that they work together on TV. Am I right? Am I right, everyone? Am I right?
She's leaving a paper trail, or at least a digital one. She also instructs her workers over to Telegram, an encrypted messaging app. So,
okay, well, there's some brains. Okay, we're back in the game, Jen Shah. We're back in the game.
Listen, nothing bad happens on Telegram, okay? Nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, right? Nothing.
No ripoffs on Telegram.
Never, not once. So another step the very unguilty Shah takes is to not get paid by her own company, at least not directly. As the saying goes, no salary, no taxes. Instead, Smith pays for everything, including her New York City apartment. He's her own personal money laundering service.
Wow.
As it turns out. So Shah, she's living it up in New York City, but she's far from family and her marriage is struggling, so it might be time for a big life change. And it just so happens that Bravo is casting for their next Real Housewives franchise. So, I mean, knowing what we know about her, how strong of a candidate is she for this show?
I mean, very strong. And I mean, there's nothing more hilarious than the idea that you're running like a high stakes crime ring that could send you to years in jail, and it's worth sacrificing that all, risking it all, just that way you could be famous on Bravo TV.
Yeah. So it's the late 2010s, and Bravo TV is firing on all cylinders. They think Salt Lake City, which is sort of a mystery to most TV viewers, would make a fun backdrop for a new show. And as we've discussed, Jen Shah is the perfect candidate. So they put out a call, and Jen Shah happily pitches herself. Yes, she might live in New York City right now, but she was raised in Utah. She's a self-made woman of color in predominantly white spaces. She's got the rags to riches story, a multi-million-dollar house they can film in, add a touch of mystery, flamboyance. You got yourself a gig, girl. So in her audition tape, Shah brags that she makes millions, adding, quote, "I probably spend at least 50 grand a month." And then in a podcast interview, she later corrects herself, saying that the 50K is just her monthly clothing budget.
Oh.
Not that she has a budget, per se. It's also not clear how she makes millions, but it's probably fine.
I'm sure it's just some hard work.
By the bootstraps, just getting out there and doing the damn thing.
Yeah, good investing. Good investing strategies.
Good investing. So in the audition tape, her own husband, Sharif, warns producers, "I'm telling you boys, she's two types of crazy." Unfortunately, that is just what the producers are looking for, and she is cast for the show. She is hoping that the show will be a great opportunity and a good excuse to return to Utah, where she can work on her marriage. The rest of the cast is comprised of rich and glamorous Utah beauties, such as Heather Gay, a lapsed Mormon and everyone's best friend, Lisa Barlow, a chic marketing whiz and tequila magnate, Whitney Rose, who tells it like it is. We also have Meredith Marks, who upon first glance might just be Lisa Barlow from a different angle.
Yes.
And then we have Mary Cosby, the lady who married her own grandfather.
Step-grandfather, but yeah.
Yeah, for the record, it's her grandmother's second husband.
Yeah.
The fourth most scandalous thing on this list here is like, oh, and then her, yeah, she has a cult, married her grandmother's husband. Okay, yeah, going on.
Yeah.
So the show airs November 11th, 2020, and it's a hit. The cast is as wackadoo as anyone could have hoped for. Here's a clip that I saw that I am still processing. It's with Mary Cosby, Whitney Rose, and Rose's children.
I'm so tired. One of the members in our church, like one of their daughter, like had a crash.
When?
Today, like last night. And she was ejected from the sunroof and fell down into a neighborhood. 30 feet, drop off the freeway.
Is she still alive?
No. I'm excited to be here. Wear your seatbelt.
Mary Cosby.
Mary Cosby is a classic.
Yeah.
Without wear seatbelt.
So yeah, Shah bursts onto the scene as the outspoken housewife who oozes excess and gives no Fs. Now, maybe to cover for her lack of credentials, Shah has a lot of catchphrases on the show, the most important one being Shah-mazing. She wears open-toe heels in the snow, tastefully paired with Versace purses, of course. And she and her family share a 5-bed, 8-bath, $7 million plus palatial home in upscale Park City, Utah, where a flower bed spells out the words Shah Chalet in hot pink petals. And crucially, there is no explanation as to how the Shahs can afford to live like this, but we'll get there. Shah also employs a fleet of stylists and assistants who not only make her look Shah-mazing, but also help her stage dress rehearsals for parties, clapping for Shah as she models her outfits. But there is one member of the Shah squad, yes, she calls them that, who has outsized importance. In episode 1, Stuart Smith, who's identified as Shah's personal and business assistant, is introduced. We remember him.
She really likes to demean him. I have like a memory of her like feeding him a banana, and she calls him her monkey, right?
Oh, she does?
Did that happen, Ronnie? Like she fed him a banana?
Sounds like it.
In his first appearance, Smith drives Shah to a Botox appointment in Shah's Porsche and runs around after her with a baggie full of beef jerky, which that sounds amazing. If you had an assistant, what would always be in your baggie?
M&M's. Peanut M&Ms. Every time.
That sounds good.
That's all I need.
Tate's cookies.
Occasionally some Starburst if I'm feeling healthy and need fruit.
Just a little bit of fruit. Love that.
A cold brew. Just a cold brew ready for me.
At all times. So on the show, Stuart Smith appears to be Shah's loyal bagman, and she appears to be a very important person. But again, exactly how is Shah actually financing her fabulous lifestyle? She's spending ill-gotten gains from her telemarketing business is how she's doing it, but the audience couldn't know that. They're focused on the messy character Shah seems to be. Now, for what it's worth, the Shah squad seems to genuinely hate being there. Her former designer later admits that working for Shah is like babysitting a 48-year-old. Throughout the entire first season of Housewives, the producers are getting a lot of juicy drama in the form of screaming fights and nasty tantrums. So let's take a quick look at Jen's highlight reel.
Who the says that? That's like looking at a little baby with cancer and saying, oh, you smell like cancer. Fred and Whitney, roll your mother eyes and look over there one more time, I'll drown you, bitch. Mary is crazy. Shut the up about Mary.
That was top golf.
Okay,
Shut up about Mary. I don't give a Do you understand? Claire.
That's her son running away horrified, by the way.
Yes. That's her son. That's at Sharif's birthday party with all of Sharif's family and friends. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Top Golf, the famous Top Golf episode. Nutcase.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by the end of the first season, viewers start to openly wonder, besides being nuts, what does this lady do for a living? And they're not alone. During the season 1 reunion, messy girl Andy Cohen tries to get Shah to admit where her money actually comes from on camera. He asks, why does she need 4 assistants besides, clapping for her? Shah's non-response, they all have different roles at all of the important companies that she runs. And she is asked to explain what those companies do. Quote, my background is in direct response marketing for about 20 years. So our company does advertising. We have a platform that helps people acquire customers. So when you're shopping online or on the internet and something pops, we have the algorithm behind why you're getting served that ad.
Yeah. Like what?
It's clear to me. Very clear to me. Business synergies, etc. Yeah.
But neither the cast members nor the viewing audience is satisfied with Shah's explanation. So in an Access Hollywood interview, she gives it another go. Quote, I have 3 different marketing companies and we do lead generation, data monetization, customer acquisition. The best way to describe it is I'm the Wizard of Oz. I'm the one behind the curtain that no one knows exists, but I'm the one making everything happen.
Oh, God.
You have to think about the words coming out of your mouth when you're a criminal.
And who wants to be the Wizard of Oz? He was a big fraud. I mean, hello, did you see the end of that movie?
Hello, spoiler alert, bad dude.
This really reminds me of when people, like when criminals go on to Wheel of Fortune and then are surprised when they get arrested. It's like, you're on the run. Why are you on TV right now? How could she go on Extra? Maybe this is just a statement about Extra. Maybe she just believes no one watches Extra and so she can just say these things. But how could you admit that you are the Wizard of Oz when you're literally like the Wizard of Oz in a fraud ring? How could you do that?
Yeah. I mean, I think also on top of that, especially with Fame, like she's a problematic character. They might be seeing the writing on the wall, but she seems to have convinced enough people, or at least enough people making the show, that her story is solid and worth risking it, because she does get signed on to do more seasons. And if her lies were that transparent, I think other people also are a little culpable in letting her continue.
They love that.
Keep it. Yeah, exactly. They love that.
They love this stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, they love this stuff. They're going to keep hiring you. I mean, if anything, that gives them more reason to hire her. You know?
So, I mean, it was win-win for all of them at the moment. She loves attention. They love money. But as we're alluding to, everybody, if you're going to do crimes, don't go on TV. Or if you're going to go on TV, don't commit crimes. Either way.
Keep them separated.
Yeah.
Or do it better. Be a role model.
Or,
Learn how to commit crimes and get away with it, for Christ's sake. We need a better hero out here.
There we go. So in March of 2021, for the middle of season 2, the cast of Salt Lake City films their departure scene for a big ski trip in Vail, Colorado. And they're outside the Beauty Lab, a clinic owned by one of the other castmates, Heather Gay. And Shah, decked out in leopard print and ready to have some fun in a Bavarian-themed fortress, receives a mysterious phone call. The mood shifts. Let's take a quick look at what happens.
Okay. Hi, baby. Hi. Okay.
I have some bad news. I need to go. I just got a phone call, and Sharif Sr. has internal bleeding. So
Wait,
what?
Do you have to go?
Yeah.
There it is.
Internal bleeding.
Internal bleeding, fleeing the scene.
What you're not seeing in that clip is that she gets the call that the feds are on their way, so she's gonna motor out of there. But because she tells everyone that there's internal bleeding, Heather Gay kind of corners her and is like, "Oh my God, is everything okay? Do you need me to come? Are you sure? Is everything okay?" And Jen Shah has this look on her face like, "Please get out of my face. I need to get out of here as soon as possible. I'm about to be arrested on camera." And Heather's like, "How about, should I make you a casserole? Do you need me to take care of the kids?" And she's like, no, I'm fine. I just gotta go.
She did need to get out of there because it was within 15 minutes that the rest of the cast hears helicopters coming. They see Homeland Security and the NYPD arrive on the scene. And of course, this is all being filmed and will later appear on Bravo. The van, full of clueless housewives, is swarmed by cops. But since this is trashy reality TV, a couple of them guess these people might be strippers.
There is that concern.
Yes, they thought they were strippers. I forgot that.
But they're clearly not strippers. They're real law enforcement officers, and the housewives are just trying to piece this all together. Let's take a look.
Should I just call Jen and tell her that they just came here?
I don't think you should
I don't
interfere.
think you should do
No.
that. You guys, what if she's on the run? Like, get her a head start.
I mean, I would want her to call me.
NYPD police SWAT police
100%
officers
calling
showed
her.
up looking for Jen Shah. I don't think she is in the hospital, but thanks, love.
Wait, you think, call Sharif. You think she got a tip-off call that this was happening and left?
All right, yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. She got a tip-off call. I mean, I'm so jealous of these people who live in a place where their cops show up and they think they might be strippers. That is not what I think when my cops show up.
Same. There's so much in that clip that I am so confused about and/or love. I love that she was like, give her a head start. I was like, that's a real ride or die.
That's a friend. Yeah.
That's
and she
friend.
stuck with her right until the end.
Yeah.
I mean, really, until that woman was in jail. And then she felt safe, I guess, to start bad-mouthing her. But I mean, she was with her right up until the very end, that one.
But yeah, also like the fact, could you imagine also living a life where your friend just says, my husband has internal bleeding. I have an emergency at the hospital. I have to go. And 15 minutes later, you're swarmed by feds and police officers. And you can't imagine that the two are not related, that these two wildly like dramatic events happen to Jen Shah independently.
Yeah. The best part is when they're sitting there and they're just like idly chatting and you see they're just having chit chat about who knows what. And in the background in the windows, you start to see like FBI and you start to see Homeland Security and they're just like nattering away and we all know what's happening, but like that there's like these subtle like clues in the background windows. It is truly like it was one of the most compelling scenes that Bravo has ever aired.
Crazy. So of course they get all the answers pretty quickly through social media. They find out that Shah's in big trouble. So is Stuart Smith, her doting assistant. They're being charged with fraud. She could get 30 years in prison. Again, they're still in a van on their way to a party house. Cast member Whitney Rose seems to understand exactly what is going on. She is apparently the resident expert on illegal business, and she'll explain it to the audience. Let's watch a clip where she breaks down the fraud charges.
So when you buy data, you can actually select what demographic you want.
Yes,
so they would select vulnerable people, people who have disabilities, people who are elderly,
like on
who
fixed
maybe
income.
aren't in the best state of mind, like don't have the best decision making because they're old, alone in the house. Vulnerable.
Yes.
They buy that data and sell to them fake get them on a subscription, get their credit card charged every month, and they can't get off of it.
Whitney's taking notes.
Yeah. So what do you do?
She's like, God, yeah, here's where they made missteps. Okay, let me just write that down.
Hearing her say vulnerable so many times is also really special.
Vulnerable.
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 Now, for Bravo, this scene obviously makes for great television. But meanwhile, off camera, in real life, Shah doesn't get very far after she leaves the set of The Housewives. The cops ping her location and arrest her on the side of the road, and she's driven to a federal building and brought into a break room. She's handcuffed to a chair, must be terrified, mortified. And before being questioned for over an hour, Shah signs a form waiving her right to an attorney. Obviously, she's not thinking straight. Is it because her husband really is in the hospital? Or is it because, I don't know, her contacts are dry and she can't read the documents that she's signing?
Yeah, that's the contacts are dry.
Later, she says it's both.
Yep. She tried to get out of it saying they couldn't arrest her because they wouldn't give her saline solution. And so that made that made this fraudulent arrest. I mean, that woman, she tried it. She tried it.
You have to. You got to go for it. Yeah, Jen Shah tells the feds there's been a mistake. She's done nothing wrong. And to prove it, she'll agree to a trial. No plea deal. Strange choice.
Yeah. You're going to federal court. This is not criminal court. This is federal court. They line their ducks up before they take you down.
I think she kept thinking that Stewart wasn't going to turn. She just really thought she did scare people. So they would do anything to stay on her good side. And I think she had everybody so scared that she thought that little wuss is never going to turn on me because he knows I'll ruin his life. I'll go after his family, all of this other stuff, like a mob movie.
Well, I think she thought he wasn't going to flip on her, but also she could flip on him and throw him under the bus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she always had that.
You know, because he must have been doing all the bad stuff, right? Without her knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which is exactly what her lawyers claimed, you know, or it was her employees. Either way, she had nothing to do with it. But that was going to be hard to prove because, well, let's play a clip that Ben might remember.
I feed you while you work. While you make me money, I feed you.
We're adding more people, and I just had to get second pass out. It's good. It's a good day.
Okay, make money, eat your banana.
Maybe I added in the monkey part.
We make so much stuff up on our own show to just improvise the scenes that we end up not really remembering what was real.
I know, but I do remember banana.
But you are right. So on April 2nd, 2021, the judge presiding over Shah's case calls her bluff and sets her bail at $1 million, which she'll owe in its entirety if she flees. And to secure her bond and leave jail, she'll need $250,000 in cash or property. But finding that kind of money is going to be a challenge because unlike Smith, who uses his house to secure his bond, Shah doesn't own her home. That's right, the lavish mansion in the series is a rental. Her Porsche, it's leased. Outside of the alleged telemarketing scams, Shah's only income is from the Housewife show. So, Andy, can I get a cash advance?
Yeah, she ended up getting it from her mom. She took her mom's retirement account to do it. And there's a scene with her and her mom's crying. And she's like, okay, Jen, I mean, I'll do anything for you. And she's like, I'm innocent, Mom. So just... thank you so much, but I'm innocent. Just pay the money. And so, at least she didn't draw a line. I mean, she screwed over a lot of elderly people, but at least she screwed over her own mom too. So it was fair.
Yeah, her mom was not a part of her scheme at all. She was never charged with any crimes or anything. She was just another one of the people that Jen took advantage of.
Yeah, it was fair.
Yeah, the trial is then set for October of 2021. Now, COVID protocols keep delaying it. But that just gives Shah more time to be on Housewives and to come up with ways to defend herself. Because, yes, she is still on the show while awaiting her trial, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, one way her lawyers think they can get a dismissal is by claiming that Shah didn't mean to waive her Miranda rights and not have her lawyer present during interrogation. Because of the blurry context.
Yep.
But that motion is quickly denied. By the time season 2 of Salt Lake City even airs, people have read in the news that Jen Shah's been arrested and charged with fraud. So she works her storyline into the opening tagline. Do you remember what it was?
I don't.
What was it?
Well, we have a clip.
The only thing I'm guilty of is being Shah-mazing.
Amazing.
Shah-mazing.
That's right.
Shah-mazing.
Amazing. Of course. Oh my God.
Shah not only agrees to have meetings with her lawyer filmed for television, she continues to discuss her legal situation on camera until the moment she leaves the show. Now, we at The Big Flop do not recommend having your legal battles be the subject of reality TV, but in this case, it might be Shah's only way of making a legitimate income when she needs the money. So let's watch a clip from season 2, episode 11.
What I have been accused of is absolutely the complete opposite of anything I would ever do in my life. If I have any fault, it is because I am too giving and I help too many people.
Yeah.
Such a giver, you guys. It's my fault. I'm perfect. I'm sorry.
She just wants to help people start businesses.
Throw me in jail. Throw me in perfection jail.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help you become a boss, babe, just like me.
Yeah.
But it's now very hard to make the argument that she's innocent of fraud. Not only are there tons of clips showing her contradicting herself, but the investigation into Shah's shady businesses have been going on for years. The feds even have a witness who's brought them recordings of Smith explaining how the scams all work. And then there's the physical evidence. After the feds raid her house, they find over 100 luxury items like Chanel Couture and Louis Vuitton handbags. Incredibly, most of them are fake. T.
Shocker.
So we've gotten some hints as to what Jen Shah and Stuart Smith might be doing, but as the case against them is brought, more details emerge. The type of scheme Shah and Smith might be running, the one Whitney Rose talked about in the van, is called BizOp. And it is in fact a coaching scheme, just like the type Thrive Learning Shah's previous employer was accused of running. Basically, vulnerable people who want to start a business are identified through online activities, like by clicking the shady passive income ads on websites or responding to strangers on LinkedIn. Now, these folks, nicknamed leads, are then called up by telemarketers and sold a bunch of services to make their work-from-home dreams come true. Services like marketing advice, web design, seminars, or even help with business credit applications. At best, the telemarketers collect payments and then ghost the would-be business owners without ever offering them the help they wanted. At worst, the BizOps continue to sell the victims' personal information after they ghost them. Shah went for the worst option.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
After bleeding tens of thousands of dollars from retirees who wanted to understand the internet better, she then sold these leads to larger fraud rings who kept pestering these people until they were completely out of money. All this so Shah could buy gaudy ski wear and fake handbags. Even though Shah has been charged, they keep making seasons with her. So in November of 2021, during season 3 filming, Shah gets the shocker of a lifetime. Smith, her partner in crime, changes his plea to guilty. He admits to conspiracy to commit wire fraud, money laundering, and obstruction of justice. And he is in a lot of trouble because in addition to committing a bunch of crimes, he also spent a few months lying, which is perjury, in a separate crime. So he could get up to 70 years in prison.
Oof.
Now, you've watched enough TV crime dramas, I'm sure. What can he do to help himself?
He could turn on Jen Shah.
Ding, ding, ding. Yes, Smith agrees to testify against Shah. So his sentence will now come after Shah's trial. Now, on the show, Shah is confronted by her bestie, Heather Gay, who wants to know how Shah feels about Stuart flipping on her. Also, Meredith Marks is there to fill out the shot, I guess. Let's take a look.
Stuart's a piece of shit. And you know what? He can play the, oh, I'm little Stuart Smith. No, bitch, you're an evil mother. And you played me. I would not be in this thing at all if it wasn't for Stuart. Stuart played me.
Oh, it wouldn't be in this thing at all. Oh, I thought you weren't in anything. I thought you weren't doing anything. What are you talking about? Now you're in a huge crime ring that you only were in because Stewie made you do it? Oh, poor Jen. So easy to manipulate. And that was, by the way, when she was in New York. Wasn't that when she was getting ready for sentencing, Ben? When they all went to New York, or when those three went to New York and Meredith and Heather went to support her. I mean, that's like right when she was about to go down.
Yeah.
And she's still talking like this, like, girl.
Yeah, she, right after the very, very, very end, like the night before, she was denying on camera. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Bethany Frankel once famously said on Real Housewives of New York, you can't be smart and stupid at the same time. And that's what Jen Shah is trying to do. She's trying to be smart and stupid. Oh, I didn't realize this would happen. And yet she's also proclaiming that she's the smartest person in the room. So, you know, you're either the Wizard of Oz on extra TV, or you're incredibly, incredibly naive. And we all know which one she is.
Yeah. Now, it's no secret that the Housewives seasons are filmed long in advance and heavily edited, so these conversations aren't necessarily relevant to the court case as it unfolds, but there is a documentary that airs on Hulu in December of 2021 in the middle of the legal battle that might cause some problems for Shah's defense. It's called The Housewife and the Shah Shocker. So, I don't know. Is there a better name for the special? I don't know.
Yeah, what was Erica's called? The Housewife and the Hustler, right?
Yeah.
The Housewife and the Hustler was Erica and Tom's, and then they made one for Jen.
They kind of ran out of puns there. They were like, the Housewife and the Shah and the Shah, the Shocker. Okay, we'll go with it.
Yeah. Well, the Shah-ocker is a 45-minute oral history of the situation, mostly clips of the show and folks who've been in Shah's orbit with opinions on the scandal, like Shah's aunt. She files to have her case dismissed on the basis that the Hulu documentary violates her right to a fair trial. Shah's legal team argues that there won't be an untainted jury pool with the documentary available for anyone to watch ahead of the trial. Hun, it's Hulu.
I don't know. I think she's maybe overstating her importance. It's not like this. This was not the OJ trial, okay? We're not breaking away from any playoff games to watch Jen Shah walk into a courthouse, okay? Like, yeah, there's still a lot of people who have no idea who she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to love somebody going down for screwing over old people, old defenseless old people, you know, crying about fairness. Like, shut up. Just shut up.
And the judge agrees because they deny the request. So the walls truly start closing in. Shah's been publicly claiming she's been innocent for so long, she might even believe it. But she's out of money, out of lawyers, out of options. After the motion to dismiss the case per the Hulu documentary is denied, two of her lawyers peace out. Meanwhile, Shah's new trial date of July 2022 is fast approaching. So 1 week before her trial is scheduled to begin, Shah pleads guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Now, right around this time, the season 3 reunion is around the corner, and fans cannot wait to hear what she has to say about all this. But unfortunately, she won't be there. On Instagram, Shah states that Bravo did not invite her and then did, but only if she'd be willing to discuss her legal case. But taking her remaining lawyer's excellent advice, she declines. Do you think committing fraud helps or hurts your reality TV career?
I think it helps.
It helps. Unfortunately, she'll be hired the second she's out of there. She'll be brought back. If that show's still on, which it probably will be, she will be brought back the second that she's gone.
Yeah, I agree. At the 2022 BravoCon, Andy Cohen hints that Jen Shah will not be returning for a 4th season. Quote, once we wrapped, she pled guilty. I think that was kind of, unfortunately, the end of, the engagement there. After Cohen's statement, Shah briefly lashes out on social media. Quote, you will not take my voice. I have a lot to say, lies to correct, and people to put in their place. Hashtag coming soon. Hashtag Bravo TV. Hashtag RHOSLC. Hashtag equality. Hashtag POC. She also daringly borrows a phrase from activist Malala. Quote, I raise up my voice, not so that I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. We cannot all succeed when half of us are held back.
I raise up my voice, not so that I can shout, but so that I can get your social security number and your date of birth. Give it to me.
Yeah. So on January 6, 2023, Shah arrives for her sentencing in New York City, and so do a lot of fans and onlookers. In fact, the courtroom is at full capacity. In exchange for pleading guilty to conspiracy, the money laundering charges are dropped. The judge also softens the blow regarding prison time. Prosecutors want to send would-be scammers a message and to throw the book at Shah with a 10-year sentence. The judge gives her only 6.5 years. Otherwise, there's very little leniency. Shah must pay $6.5 million in forfeiture and $9.5 million in restitution to victims.
Wow, but she didn't have that, right?
But she did not have that.
Yeah, where's that come from?
Where are they going to get that money?
Right, that's the question. She says she vows to repay the victims, but how? Because without the BizOp scam, she's limited to what she can make from television and general publicity, like her free Jen Shah campaign merch. I'm sure that did well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My God.
Broke the internet with that one.
Uh-huh. Before surrendering to Texas's Bryan Federal Prison Camp in February 2023, Shah gets her husband's and 2 sons' names tattooed on her arm.
What every son wants, his mom to get a prison tat. Their name.
As he's trying to go forward to medical school, yeah.
Well, let's do a little, where are they now? So Jen Shah promised to turn over a new leaf. And you know what? It seems like she has been doing that. She seems to really be working on herself. In prison, she started a fitness and cosmetology class, a real curriculum, real coaching.
Yes.
Who wants to learn their makeup from Jen Shah? Have you seen her makeup?
Shady boots.
Who's going to that class?
I don't know. Her good behavior has led to 2 sentence reductions, so she'll get out in November of 2026, just around the corner.
You know, she also did a Real Housewives play in prison. She directed a Real Housewives play. She got all the inmates to do one.
Really?
Isn't that funny? So she's also a director now, you guys. So
it's on her resume. She's also made friends in prison.
Yep.
One of them is notorious scammer and Big Flop alum Elizabeth Holmes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Future Real Housewife?
Well, maybe. But we are hoping that their friendship will blossom into something constructive, because that pairing could literally destroy entire economies.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Put those 2 together. Those 2 will come up with a business together. Watch.
Watch.
Yeah.
Stuart Smith, he's still in prison, but he only received a 9-month sentence, which began in January of 2025. So if he gets out on schedule, that gives him over a year's head start to get to safety before a very fit Jen Shah comes after him.
I was going to say, get the gang back together. You know, you get Jen and Elizabeth and Stuart, and they're going to hatch the big one. This is just, listen, I've seen The Usual Suspects. You know, a little stint in jail that just sets you up for the big stint, you know, the big heists.
As you both know, here on The Big Flop, we try to be positive people and end on a high. So are there any silver linings that came about from Jen Shah?
Yes, which is that Jen Shah going off to prison opened the door for the Real Housewives to bring in Monica, which gave us one of our greatest seasons ever. And then Monica begat our latest season of season 5, which was even better. So in many ways, Jen Shah cleared the way for better TV for us. And that's the only silver lining I can really think. Oh, and that she's out of the general public.
Well, yeah.
Well, hopefully she taught some elderly people to stop doing that, you know, stop trying to start businesses from people they find on, you know, a message from LinkedIn or whatever.
Yeah. I will say maybe she will be rehabilitated. And if she does get put back on the show and starts making that Bravo money again, hopefully some of the victims will get their restitution.
There you go. That is a nice silver lining.
There we go. Well, now that you both know about Jen Shah's history of scamming, would you consider this a baby flop, a big flop, or a mega flop?
Well, it's a mega flop. Mega flop to me. This scam was so huge. I don't think that people really realize that this was this was across state lines, a web of people. I mean, lots of resources went into this. This is a multi-million-dollar complicated scheme. This was not just some thing that she was behind on bills for. This was a really, really, really big deal. So big mega flop for me.
And you know, also mega flop as far as scamming goes, because you flopped at that business really hard. I mean, texting all your criminal activity and she just went about it poorly. She got telegrammed too late. So I'd just say as far as criminal activity, that was a big flop. I could at least be a fan if you were good at the stealing, But
credit where credit's due. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to our Shah-mazing guests, Ben Mandelker and Ronnie Karam, for joining us here on The Big Flop. And of course, thanks to all of you for listening and watching. If you're enjoying the show, please leave us a rating or a review or a subscribe. And we'll be back next week with another flop. I mean, sure, technically what these young entrepreneurs were doing was copyright infringement, but they made music so much more accessible. That's right, we're talking about the OG mover and shaker of the music sharing world, Napster. Bye.
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 The Big Flop is a production of Wondery and At Will Media.